Hunt is presented by the Canadian Coalition for Firearm Rights. The CCFR is Canada's gun lobby. Also brought to you by Vortex Canada, the force of optics. Prophet River Firearms, your source for Canada's finest firearms, optics, and accessories. Legal services provided by Loberg Ector, your complex commercial litigation experts.
Hey everybody, welcome to My Best Hunt. I'm your host, Ron Giltack. Thanks for joining me again. Today on the show, we have a returning guest, Skyler Johnson. How's it going, bud?
Yeah, doing good. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. I'm glad you're back. So in case people haven't seen the last episode that we did together, we like to set aside a little bit of time for you to introduce yourself and tell people where to find your work.
Yeah. So first thing, where to find the stuff is Sky Edge YouTube channel. And got a bunch of videos up there, collection of my hunts over the last 4 or 5 years since I've been starting to film hunts. But I've only been hunting for about 10 seasons. And I got my start, got invited out to Alberta to participate in a hunt with my brother and his army friends. He served in the PPCLI, and they're having a get together, which included a hunt. And I was fortunate enough to get invited along and participate in that one up on the Athabasca River, I think. Alberta is a beautiful country, beautiful province, and some beautiful country up there. But on the last day of that hunt, I watched my friend Sam crawl down and get in a position and take a bull moose with his bow. And that was my first experience with hunting is to witness that and just how cool that was. And then obviously getting to help dress out the animal and pack it up the hill and eat the meat in camp. And at that point I was hooked. So back in BC, I got my hunter's course and everything. And I've been hunting ever since in BC and filming my hunts.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a great story and something to see too, right? How challenging.
Oh, it was spectacular. You know?
Yeah.
And
belly
then, of course,
crawling.
just getting in the right spot at the right time. And then the moose deciding to walk right past his position and just, fade. It was lucky. He was quite lucky, but it was an excellent hunt to be part of for sure.
And so you got the bug and you kept going.
Yeah.
And then why did you decide to start filming your hunts?
Just sort of looking for kind of a new hobby. And I liked watching other people's YouTube videos, hunters in BC. And I thought this would be kind of cool, and I had, we all had Snapchat on our phone a few years ago when it was popular. And I did a little bit of that. And guys said, hey, you do a really good job with those little snap videos. You should maybe post some stuff on YouTube. I invested in a GoPro and a few other cameras. And it just adds another element to a hunt where you're out there by yourself. You got a lot of time. Nothing but time. So I did enjoy filming it, and I like the editing process and putting it online and interacting with the viewers as well is pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, it's a lot of people don't understand how much work it is to actually film hunts, right?
Yeah.
So especially if you do solo hunt. Have you filmed any solo hunts?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Quite a few. And a lot of my hunts are solo. I always invite friends to come out. Not everyone can make it, but that's not going to hold me back. I still make time to get out there.
But to set up a camera, walk by it, go back, get it.
Yeah. I mean, they're funny when you think about it in hindsight, setting up those shots, but it kind of adds to the video. So I like doing it.
Yeah. And it takes a little bit of work actually to capture kill shots and to capture long range footage and stuff like that. It's quite involved. So
yeah. And you might miss out on opportunities fumbling around with your camera. So you got to, consider that as well. Yeah.
It's a challenge. Okay. So what kind of hunt, maybe set it up for us? What are we talking about today?
Yeah, we're happy to share a cougar hunt that I was a part of. Actually, two separate cougar hunts, but it all ties together. I was on a fishing charter in Port Hardy with Serengeti Fishing Charters. Excellent outfit. And that family there, big hunting family as well, but they mentioned cat hunting on Vancouver Island and that they knew a guy who's an avid cat hunter and houndsman and that he could probably set me up with the hunt. And I was super interested. And so I followed up on that lead and got out for a cat hunt the following year.
So you can get a tag obviously for cougar.
Yeah, you can get one right over the counter in BC. Yeah.
Okay, so there's not a draw. No,
not a draw. I think cats are abundant, especially on Vancouver Island, and I think you can take 2 a year. Yeah.
Well, that's chilling because they're so elusive. You think, oh well, there's probably not a lot out there, but there is.
And they're probably watching you, and even though you might not even be aware that they're in the area.
Yeah, pretty crazy. Well, I'm sure it was quite an adventure.
It was a great hunt.
If you'd like to be a guest on My Best Hunt, email us a link to your video at show@mybesthunt.ca.
Yeah, Rod, so to set the scene on the first hunt that we were able to go on, my friend Jess and I from our Stone Sheep hunt, we teamed up and we took the ferry over from Vancouver to Nanaimo and drove up to Campbell River where we met up with the houndsman. The gentleman who's got the hounds, he goes by the handle Moose. good name. He's an avid hunter, but an even bigger houndsman and cougar hunter. And he graciously accepted to have Jess and I out. We both had our licenses, and he said, yeah, of course you can come hunting with me. Let's go chase some cats. So just so happened there had been a big dump of snow on Vancouver Island, which is usually ideal for cat hunting. The good fresh snow helps you track the cats, helps identify tracks in the snow. So we got out, it was Tacoma, hopped on, and we were driving all the back roads of Vancouver Island with our heads sticking out the window looking for cat tracks. And I kept shouting, hey, we got one, but it was deer, it was elk. Yeah. And these guys, the houndsmen, they knew the tracks. They could drive along at 20 kilometers an hour and pick out a cat track from a deer track. Pretty impressive.
And that's actually a thing, houndsmen.
Yeah.
Okay.
So these guys, so a little bit on the hounds, they hunt with the breed of dog that they have is called a blue tick. First time I had met a blue tick, but his dogs are Frank and Rhonda, who I think at the time of the first hunt were probably about 3 years old. So young dogs, but already dialed in on cat hunting. And I think that breed, I mean, they're just meant for hunting cats. That's what they want to do. They're excited to do it. So super cool to have the dogs in the box in the back of the truck with their heads sticking out the window, sniffing, as they go. But, we're looking for tracks in the snow, looking for fresh tracks. And we found a few, but the guys, they're careful. They can identify the tracks. They've got so much time in that they can tell usually a female cat from a male cat. And we're pursuing hopefully big male cats, which in cougar hunting is called toms. Get your toms. So we're looking for a tom cat. And eventually we did come across a good fresh track. The guys determined that it was new enough that they were willing to let the dogs out, which is interesting because...
Who let the dogs out?
They let the dogs out. Yeah. With a bit of encouragement. No, you can't help it.
All right.
So the dogs are out. And the interesting thing about when you decide to let the dogs go on a track is you can't easily recall them. These dogs,
you're committed.
Once they're on a track, they're committed. They've got GPS collars and you can shout, hey, Frank, Rhonda, come back down the hill. But at some point they just lock in. They're chasing that cat. And your best way to picking them up is either to follow them till they stop, hopefully treeing a cat, or pick them up on another road if you can intercept them.
So it's not easy. So that's
not at all.
There's risk.
No, there is risk. And those dogs have at times stayed on the mountain overnight because he wasn't able to recover them before dusk. And it put in every effort to get them. But there's a story where Frank didn't make it back that one night and they picked him up because they were monitoring the radios, and a logger had seen the dog on the road a few days later. He goes, hey, we got a dog here. And he radios him, says, that's my dog. I'm coming to get him.
Wow.
And they were able to pick him up, and the dog was fine, just looking a little bit upset. Hey, you left me, but dog's fine. But so you really got to know that it's a good time to commit the dogs to the hunt. So based on how much time in the day, how many roads are in the area, if you can get at the dog. So on this particular hunt, we let the dogs out. We chased them over the top of a mountain, back down into a gully, and we were on a hot track. And the dogs were excited and they're barking, and so it means that they're on one. They're following a hot track. And what happened with this cat was he navigated some really challenging areas, and we're sliding on our butts down the hill. We're crashing down the snow-covered gullies. And then we saw on the GPS, it marked treed, which generally means the dogs have a cat in a tree. They've stopped moving. But when we got to the dogs, they were at a ravine and they were considering crossing a slippery log over a river, over the ravine where the cat had left, right? So we immediately grabbed the dogs, hey, don't go any further. It's unsafe. And that cat, he evaded us by doing cat stuff, He easily crossed that log over the stream. The dogs couldn't pursue him. We couldn't pursue him any further. And there really wasn't a great way of us getting around and picking up that track on the other side. So we just had to accept defeat on that hunt. And but we learned a lot about the dogs. We came real close. It was super exciting. And I was just hooked for hopefully what would be another hunt the following season.
And so how long was it before you ended up going back for the second hunt? Yeah,
it was the following year. We got invited back, and the guys, they felt bad about the first hunt. And they said, "Oh, we're almost certain we could get you on a cat and get you a cat." And I said, "Don't sweat it. That's hunting, And they said, "No, usually we're pretty good. Our dogs are real good." So they were determined to get me on a cat, and I actually went back the second season by myself, and that became a really awesome hunt. And again, good conditions, fresh snow. And on the first morning of that hunt, after driving for several hours and passing on some smaller tracks, we picked up what was a pretty large tom track. And the guys, they've seen a lot of cat tracks, and I think they're trying to keep it cool, but they knew this was a big one. And that it was fresh enough that, given the time of the day, that we're going to commit the dogs to the hunt and let them go on the track. So, we let the dogs out, and we're ready to go. So all things considered, with the freshness of the snow and the amount of time that we had left in the day, we decided to let the dogs out, and right away they're on a track. And you can tell they're excited by the way they bark. They're a little bit louder and they're barking a bit more frequently. You can actually sense the excitement in the dogs.
Were you able to shout out, release the hounds though, or no?
They didn't let me.
Okay.
They just let the dogs out. And
I might have just barked that out anyway.
Yeah.
Because, that was your only opportunity.
Yeah.
Right?
But I got a good slow-mo shot of the dogs hopping out of the kennels and taking off on this hot track.
Crazy.
And what's neat is on this, I think it's a Garmin GPS unit, you can see the dogs moving across the chart, across the map. And they could tell right there that they're moving really quickly, which means they're on a hot track.
Something, yeah.
Yeah, they're not looking around and making up their mind. They've got a hot track and they're following their nose. And pretty neat about the two dogs, Frank and Rhonda, is that they kind of complement one another with their abilities. And so Frank, a bit stronger, a bit bigger, longer stride. He's faster and he can pursue a cat faster. But Rhonda, a little bit slower. She's the problem solver. So when they get hung up, it's generally Rhonda who can figure it out. So that was interesting to learn as well, right? The dogs have kind of unique personalities that complement one another. And I think they're litter mates too. So pretty neat. But they did a good job pursuing this cat, and we watched them on the GPS unit move across the screen until it froze. And then we realized, okay, the GPS cut out. So how are we going to find the dogs? And we ended up having to pursue this cat the old school style, which is simply listening to the dogs barking. And we could hear them over the top of a cut block and deep in the forest, and we could vaguely hear the sound of the dogs barking. But Moose was pretty confident from the sound of it that they might have this cat already.
And you can hear that on the video.
Yeah.
The barking in the distance, and
totally.
A couple of clips later, it gets louder.
Yeah, so we started marching through the snow and through the cut block, and I'm tripping as I'm following Moose, trying to figure out how easy he can get through the cut block, and I'm falling all over the place.
And you only took 2 cartridges with you.
That's right.
Two bullets, right?
Yeah. Well, I borrowed his rifle, and he gave me 2 bullets. And I asked for another one. He says, "You won't even need 2." So, okay, we're doing this.
Fair enough.
But we followed the sound of the dogs and hiking through the forest, and we were getting closer and closer, and the dogs are sounding more and more excited. And we caught up to the dogs, and they come running back to Moose, and they're wagging their tails, and they're all excited, and they want to show, the houndsman, hey, we did our job, we got one. And so we followed their eyes and right up to the top of the tree, and Moose picked it up first, but there is a giant tom cougar in this tree. And I think he could tell by the track when we first started following this cat that it was going to be a big one. I had a vague idea it was going to be a big one, but didn't really expect what we ended up finding in the tree, which was a massive tom cougar. And I got to the bottom of the tree and I pulled up the camera, and I got some good shots of this cat looking down at me. But I wanted to get a better shot for the video. So I leaned the rifle against the tree and I kind of circled around, and I got directly under the cat. And it was glaring right back down at me. And I got to tell you, Rod, it's a different feeling when there's an apex predator staring you right in the eyes. Mm-hmm. And then I realized at that moment, the rifle was not by my side. And if this thing came down out of the tree, I'd be in all sorts of trouble.
Yeah.
Right. So it's a different feeling. And that was, I'll always remember that. It was pretty neat to be under the tree and have that thing looking at you in the eyes.
Well, and something I can't figure out is the cat is not afraid of people, because sometimes those cats attack people.
Yeah.
But yet the dogs, they're afraid of dogs, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, I think they're secretive animals. They don't like the idea of being pursued. So I think their first instinct is to kind of get out of there, get somewhere safe. So often the tree is their best bet. But when you're cat hunting, you can't leave the dogs for too long at the bottom of the tree, because eventually that cat, especially a big tom like that, he's going to get tired of being up there, and he's going to decide for himself, hey, maybe I'm going to go down there and do something about it. So in order to keep your dog safe, because cats once in a while, they will kill dogs, you got to get there quickly, not procrastinate. Yeah. Don't waste much time. Try to get there as fast as you can. But we waited for the rest of our group to get there so they could kind of share the experience, so they could see the big cat in the tree. And they were gracious enough to give me the opportunity to harvest this cat. So I lined up with the rifle under the tree. Moose was going to back me up with his 30-30 with iron sights. And I made a good shot behind the front shoulder of the cat, and he immediately followed up. And we watched as this giant cat kind of tumbled out of the tree, snow falling, and kind of crashed to the ground at the base of the tree. Really exciting, super exciting. And then to see how excited the dogs were as well, to kind of be able to get in and see the cat that they had caught. Really, really kind of cool to be part of that.
So then did you process them there, or did you drag them out? Or
yeah, it was a bit of a drag. We had a whole big group of guys participating in that hunt, and so we pulled them out. But it was once he was stretched out, getting dragged through the snow, I realized just how big this cat was. From nose to the tip of the tail, a really large cat. And once we caped him out, the guy said, Sky, you got yourself a real kind of record book cat here. In 30 years of cat hunting, that was top 3 cats that they'd ever taken on Vancouver Island.
Well, you got lucky there.
Yeah, sure did.
Yeah.
And they said, if you were ever going to cape out an animal and keep a taxidermy mount, this is probably the one. So I ended up doing so, and I went through Ray Weens in Merritt, and he made a beautiful half mount, which is at home above my little workstation. So super cool to have that there. But the cat measured in at 15 3/8 his skull, which allows it to be entered into the Boone and Crockett record book, as well as the Vancouver Island record book. And so it was one of the biggest cats taken on Vancouver Island that year for sure. So we got this cat back to the house, and we were super curious just how much he weighed because he was big. So I think one of the guys threw on a rain jacket because they're kind of smelly. You don't want that stuck in your clothes, but he threw him over his shoulders with a bit of help, stepped on the scale, and we saw that the cat was, I think, just short of 160 pounds. So he's 158.5 pounds, I think, which is a very big mountain lion. So really neat to see that cat just that big, pretty impressive animal. And was neat about this cat, having him, get a good look at him back at the house, was that he was all scratched up. He was scarred up, big scratch across his face because he had been likely fighting another big cat. It'd have to be a big cat to try to pick a fight with this one, but
Absolutely,
pretty neat to see it. And we were able to preserve the scarring on the half mount, the taxidermy. So I get to kind of enjoy looking at that cat every day and see the big scarring across his face and just how impressive he was. Yeah.
And then you may have come across the cat he was fighting with.
Yeah, so the guys,
Maybe humorously, I guess.
the guys the following season sent me a photo of another cat that they got with a big scar across his eye, and it was actually blind in one eye, had a silver eye, and they kind of jested that this was the cat that must have been fighting your cat. But pretty impressive that the cat that they got was in great condition still. So they're so good at what they do as an apex predator that it was still a successful hunter, even being blind in one eye.
Yeah.
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 Cool.
Resilient species.
Totally.
Yeah. So I've heard, I don't know, but I've heard that that mountain lion is actually good eating. Did you eat any of the meat, or what did you do with it?
So I did. I feel like if you're going to kill something, if you can eat it,
Mm-hmm.
you probably should, or at least give it a try. So I kept the back straps and all 4 quarters from this cat, and I took it to the butcher back in Vancouver, and we made up pepperoni, spicy pepperoni and honey garlic, and then as well jalapeno cheddar smokies, which the guys from work say are some of the best smokies they've ever had. So pretty neat and very surprising, right? And I kept one little chunk of backstrap as well. I cooked on the barbecue. You got to cook it at least medium with cats and predators and bears as well. But it tastes a little bit like chicken and pork, like a chicken pork combo.
But was it good? Was it all
I
right?
liked it.
All right.
I liked it. Yeah.
Well, it's special, right?
Yeah, totally.
It's not that you're walking into a restaurant.
And part of it's that you're not meat hunting for cat, but it's predator management, right? And it's important to balance the predator prey relationship on the landscape, and hunters can do their part in actually helping preserve a proper balance of predator and prey.
Well, they go through a lot of deer, I think.
1 a week, they say.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a lot of meat.
Totally.
Anyway, all right. Well, you know what? That's an awesome story. I really appreciate you sharing that with everybody.
Yeah.
And of course, the video is up on your channel. So
Yep. Again,
where can people find you?
Skyed's YouTube channel, and that one is 2023 Vancouver Island Cougar. Check it out.
That's awesome. Really appreciate it, Skyler.
Okay, I appreciate you having me.
for people that may have not have seen the other episode, why don't we go through it again?
Yeah, my name's Skyler, and I run the Sky Edge YouTube account. I get out. Can we just restart?
Yeah, of course. No, I have to charge you now.
Yeah.
And we're dragging out the scale. We're gonna weigh him, see what he comes in at. Oh no.